much to QuickBooks, so I'm going to dive right into it. If you are a new business, this is awesome because you get to start with a clean slate. I choose QuickBooks because I think it's really simple and a lot of accountants use it. So if you're new, you would go and open a new company. If you haven't been doing this in the past and someone else has been filing them, or you want to try to keep up with your bookkeeping better, my recommendation is to, first off, get help. Ask for help from your accountant. Ask for someone to help set this up. It's going to be a lot of backdating if you haven't done stuff in the past. You might want to let someone else finish out 2012 and start with January 1st of this last year and try to start clean. You would go to open a new company and fill in every information: the name, the address, the TIN number of the company. If you don't have a TIN number or a tax identification number, you can ask your accountant to help set that up so you don't have to use your social. So you create a new company. I did that here. The two things that you're going to set up is, the main two things are a bank account and a credit card. I think it's important to have a company credit card and you keep those charges separate from your personal life. So if you take someone out to lunch, you use your company credit card, and on that receipt you write who you took out to lunch, and then when you're entering the credit card charge, you also enter that on QuickBooks. So like I told you guys, my filing system, on my desk I have 3 folders: to pay, to do, to file. To pay are to items that need to be paid. So every other Monday, if it's items that are due, I would come in here and I would write checks for those items. So I created a bank account, and if you're brand new and you try to go in and write a check, it's going to ask you to create a bank account. Also over here, I left this open because I wanted to show this to you guys. QuickBooks is really good about Guide Me. They have little videos and tutorials, so use those. And then also, there's a bunch of great videos on YouTube that you can also reference. The biggest thing about QuickBooks is getting it set up. Once you have it set up, it becomes really, really simple, and just getting a workflow into place so that everything is organized and it doesn't get overbearing or too much to handle, and then it's constantly something that you're like, man, I need to do that. So that's one thing that I recommend. So I created a bank account. I went ahead and put $500 into it at the opening balance. If you're new, that's what you would do. If you if you've had businesses in the past, you would put the balance as of January 1st if you're just going to go forward with this year. So ending balance right here, I've got $500. So if I have a check to Verizon Wireless that I need to pay for a phone bill, they would be new, so it's going to ask me to set them up. I would set them up. I would put the full address in it. I'm not going to do it right now because just for the sake of time. So I would set them up as a customer and a vendor, an employee, or other. I would put the amount in, and this is going to be, I would put the expense that it's going to be. So you can choose this to be telephone expense because it's your phone. The amount of the bill, say it's $100. The memo, you would put, January cell phone, because you use your cell phone for your business. Again, you would duplicate that memo right here on the cell phone. And let me move this little guy out of the way. And then you would, and I always recommend too, you put account numbers. So your account number of your cell phone bill, put in this memo and in this memo, just to be able to track and trace everything. So you're writing a check, you would hit save, and then that check has been in there. So if you go back, you can choose to print it. If it's something that you handwrite your checks out, you wouldn't have to worry about printing it. I choose to use the voucher checks so that when you print it out, it's got a copy of everything. If you don't use the voucher checks, I would just recommend making a copy of your check. And then that's when you file it away in the appropriate, so if this was something from January, you would file it away in that January file so that everything is done. Then that one is, so it goes from to pay. You would print it out, put it in the to file folder, and then once you're done with everything, you would put it in the appropriate file folders. And then it's off your desk, off the deck. You no longer have to look at it. So that's how you write a check. Some people choose to enter the bill and then pay the bill, as far as enter a Verizon bill, and then you can turn around and pay it. If you know it's due and you have the funds, you can go ahead and just write the check. That's just kind of double doing it. I like enter bills for second shooters. So let's say John Doe is my second shooter, and I have a shooter's account. So I created an account. If you go to chart of accounts right here, You can create accounts. If you don't have a shooter's account, you can select it. What type of account is it? It's going to be an expense account because it costs me money. You can name it shooters, second shooters, and the description of that. And you would select OK. And that would actually create new accounts for you to apply things to. I like to keep things as organized, and I like to be able to track my expenses as much as possible. So shooters, you would say how much it's going to be. John Doe at, let's say it's January 15th wedding. So if he gives you a bill number, go ahead and put that as your reference number. Whenever that's due, if it's due on receipt, go ahead and select due on receipt so that you know that it's due right away. And you would have save, and then you're going to see right here, pay the bill. So pay, to be printed. So instead of writing a check, you're doing an extra step. So you'll be to be printed, and you're going to print the check right here. So right here, you can see that the Verizon Wireless I needed to print, and then the John Doe I needed to print. So I like to go through and enter them all in, write all the checks out, and at the end of that, I print them all out so that I'm not, I like it to be a workflow so that it's making it more efficient for the time. So we went over, you set up a bank account, you set up a credit card, you enter in bills, you pay bills, you write checks, and then I'm going to go over creating invoices. So say you have XYZ wedding to shoot. If you have not ever shot for XYZ wedding before, it's going to ask you to set that up. It's going to ask you to put the address in and any information that you have in. And right here is items. Again, this is going to be things that you're going to have to set up. So items right here is things that you sell. So anything that you sell, it's a service or a product, you would put here. You would also need to go in and set up your sales tax, whatever your local sales tax is. So that when you set up an item, you can select if it's taxable or not, and it'll apply the appropriate sales tax to it. So there is that. I've already set up shoot. So it's a 2-hour shoot and editing service for $500. So I'm going to select that product. It's going to fill in the description. We're going to have one of those. So it's just 1 hour of it. And then you would hit save. So that's how you create an invoice for somebody wanting services from you. You can see up here, you can print that out. You can send an email. You can also edit current template. So you can customize this to your own branding, drop your logo in, everything right there. When you get funds from them, you would hit receive payment. And I'm going really fast because there's so much to cover. XYZ. Right here is the invoice, but they're actually going to do 50% now and 50% later. So they paid with a check, 8115, let's say. And then you can choose to group with other undeposited funds, or you can go ahead and deposit it into the bank account. Right here, you can put the memo, so it would be a deposit on services, and you would hit save. So these are funds that have not been deposited yet. So I've created an invoice. I received $250, half of that invoice. And half of that invoice is still here, the $250, and the other half is here, where I need to record the deposit. So right now it's not in the bank account. When I go to record the deposit, again, I use the voucher ones so that I can print them out. So you would select print. If not, if you're handwriting them, that's completely fine. Just say okay, so you're recording it, and make copies of everything and file it away. So you would select okay. So now that you can see, I now have more funds in my checking account. So chart of accounts, you can go into the bank account and you can see you wrote the 2 bills here and you deposited that $250 funds there. So there's so much to cover and there's so much to go over, but I hope this helped give you a good overview. Once you start getting more comfortable, I recommend to go into reports and start being able to learn and track your business and different things by using different reports. So I hope this helps.